New Brew Thursday! Woo! And we're back here at Stone again, and we're doing Pliny the Younger today.
I feel like we've come full circle, you know?
We have come full circle.
And I like how when we first came here, you were super, super jazzed to be here. You were super,
I know, it was like, I was
stoked.
a
Like, my
fanboy
dream
experience.
come true.
I was sitting with Dr. Bill at a table, drinking beer and talking about beer and drinking Double Bastard, which is one of my favorite beers, with the like amazing and incomparable Dr. Bill. And now
you're part of the show.
Now he's part of the show. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. There we go.
And now we have tacos. We'll talk about that
And
later.
the good news is when I'm on the show, other than the master pairing segment, we're always going to be drinking celebrity beers.
Celebrity beers, yes. We've heard of the concept of celebrity brewers.
They promised me that's not why I'm the only reason I'm on the show.
We bring him because he has all the really good beers. But we've talked about the concept of celebrity brewers, and now today we're going to talk about celebrity beers that come from sometimes celebrity brewers. Beers that you hear people lining up for. They have a special day that it releases. It's sold out that day. They're crazy.
Yeah. 15 years ago, we got excited when we can get certain beers like Cantillon Goose or Rose de Gambrinus or things like that. And then one of the first people to really do that was in 2002, Tommy Arthur did Cuvée de Tommy.
Right.
And it was this fabulous big barrel-aged beer that was just amazing. And I remember getting all pumped up about it. And we went to Pizza Porcelana Beach at 10 o'clock, right? Actually like 9 o'clock. And there were 8 of us. And I brought 4 people with me.
Awesome.
Nowadays, you go to some place like the Brewery for their Black Tuesday release, and there's 800 people lined up outside the door
And I think
with numbers.
Yeah,
sells
and
out in a
during
day.
Black Tuesday, they walked out to the 1 point line and said, look, nobody after this point is getting Black Tuesday. We're really sorry. Like that's the way it went, you know?
Yeah.
It went that quick.
And with the Pliny the Younger, I mean, Vinny and Natalie up at their Russian River Brew Pub in Santa Rosa have been releasing this beer for a few years now. And usually it lasts in the brew pub for a few days.
Right.
Today it sold out in hours.
Right.
And
it was like, what, an hour and 45 minutes?
I don't know the exact time, but I mean, I know I don't know the exact numbers from Vinny, but you know, he may have sold 1,000 growlers. He definitely sold through over 50 kegs of the beer, probably.
Just seeing pictures on Twitter,
I mean,
it's just the whole
The whole place was packed. Yeah.
I mean,
And you're like going,
it's
oh my
just
God.
crazy. So there's these beers that have reached a celebrity status.
Right.
And they're amazing, but now with all the new social networking that's on here,
Oh yeah.
it just seems like it's
Twitter
grown
has
into
made-
this
Yeah.
crazy fascination
Twitter-
with these beers.
Twitter
is
and
how
Beer
I've
Advocate,
learned about
Beer Advocate, Rate Beer, Twitter, Facebook even. They're methods of communication where a small brewery in like New Hampshire, Portsmouth, who does Kate the Great, that under normal circumstances, people here in the West Coast would never have heard of, know about Kate the Great because it's gotten this celebrity status, and people want to line up for it, and they get right in there to do it, and it sells out instantly.
Yeah,
and it becomes a hugely sought after commodity in the beer trading circles.
Yeah, there's 1,000 people that want each of these beers we're talking about at
Right.
least on
Yeah.
the websites.
Beer Advocate has a great little like wants and gots kind of thing where if you want a beer you can add it to your want list, and if you've got a beer you can add it to your got list, which is awesome for the community to kind of like get around your friends and say, hey, I've got this, and it's almost become like baseball cards, you know, but it's like adult baseball card trading.
It used to be, you know, people didn't know about the beers. It's just, like I said, it's expanded. In 1992, there was a site that was started called the Oxford Beer Bottle Database. And that was the first really site that I knew about online that I could track beer. And then, you know, then all of a sudden, Beer Advocate in 1996.
Right.
And then in April of 2000, one of the first sites I got involved in was the Burgundian Babel Belt, which is a group, it's a smaller site.
That sounds
but
like a really cool band name.
it is, and it's a great group of guys, and we're all Belgian beer experts.
Okay.
The people that are on there, not everybody. I mean, anybody's more than welcome to come on, but it's a great site with a lot of Belgian beer experts.
I think it's a great thing for the brewery itself because it's really taking a lot of these small breweries that wouldn't normally get this kind of attention,
Right.
and it's putting them on the map.
It is.
But on the same side, on the flip side of that coin, because some in the community can tend to kind of hoard the beer a little bit.
Right.
It has a negative impact as well, to the point where it's like, okay, here's this great beer that's going to come out, and I can't be there between 9 and 10:30 a.m.
Right.
So I guess I don't get any.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of a sad side effect to it.
The craft brewing industry, or community, I should say, is still expanding exponentially. And so that's where all this social media comes into play, and that's where it's actually affecting this like, 800 people outside a brewery waiting to do it instead of 8 people outside a brewery. And there will be issues, there'll be growing pains, there'll be people hoarding beer. As much as the breweries try to regulate it and say, well, everybody gets 3 or this kind of thing, which is a great policy because that way more people can get it to share, there's always going to be people, unfortunately, that get a little bit more or hoard a little bit more. And if put in the right hands, that, like I used to always be given a little extra because they knew I would share it with a larger quotient of people than if they were given 3 at a time to people. But there's other people that I want to get them all and I just want to trade them. If the brewer makes more and it's out on the shelf, there's nothing wrong with buying larger quantities. If you want to age them, like I like to buy beers and break them out every few months and do verticals and things like that. That's all acceptable. Like Vertical Epic here at Stone. They want you to do all 10 beers over 10 years. So you need to buy enough so that you can try them as they're going along and try a 5-year vertical and stuff like that. So that's what's great. And the other thing I was going to say is it is great that they have notes or what beer rates them or Beer Advocate at the store. It's kind of like we're growing up, and it's kind of like the wine community's always had. With you go into a great wine shop, you got Wine Spectator, Wine Advocate, things like that. Robert Parker, where you're looking at their ratings and looking at what they're saying, and it helps you. But I will say there was something fun about in the 70s and 80s going into stores and just getting 2 6-packs of beer and just trying different
Not having
beers.
any idea what you were going to get out of it.
And just having the discovery factor.
The beer community as a whole, whether it's Beer Advocate or Twitter, because now there's like a prolific amount of beer blogs coming up and people reviewing beers. And, you can't swing a dead cat on the internet without hitting a beer blog.
Seriously,
Yeah, it's getting crazy. And so, there's a wealth of information out there to determine whether or not a beer is something that's going to be suitable for you to drink or not. The point, though, is that eventually you have to look at it and go, it's all about the opinion. I can sit here and go, Pliny the Younger is the best beer you'll ever drink in the world. And you might drink it and go, oh, I don't like this beer at all. And that's just, it doesn't speak to the beer at all. It speaks to my perception of it or your perception of it. So even if Beer Advocate or Rate Beer or some beer blog that you read on a regular basis is giving you a weird kind of vibe about a beer, try it out anyway. You're going to spend a few dollars. It's not that you're not buying a car. It's like, just try the beer out and see if you like it for yourself.
Well, it's great to have a group of people that you can try beers with.
Where
one guy gets this bottle, one guy brings that bottle, and you sit and drink responsibly, but everybody's sharing different bottles, and it's just great to be able to try those.
One of the things I really like about the San Diego beer community as a whole is that there's a lot of great, once a month I'm at some rare beer potluck party that almost always ends up happening here at Stone.
We promote
everybody
craft
brings
beer, and Greg always has, and Steve, and now that I'm here especially, I'm all about people coming in, sharing bottles, and experiencing it and trying things. And we, of course, have a ton of events that we're always trying to do too. But it's all about respecting where you're at, and most places will really enjoy having you there and have you come back, and that's what's important.
I think that speaks to a lot of what the celebrity beers are. Is most of them are really big beers. You never really see like a 5.0 Pale Ale being a celebrity beer.
Well, it's got to be epic.
Right, it's an epic beer. It's a big beer. It's not a beer that's meant to be drank by yourself. It's a beer that you're going to share with other people, and I think that's the other really good side to what this has kind of done for the craft beer community, is that it's brought that idea of communal drinking together to infuse that awesomeness into our get-togethers and our arrangements, to have that, here's this really big beer that you'll never get to drink again, but I'm popping it open because I like you guys that much.
You get an eye drop.
You get an eye drop.
Enjoy. Tongue.
Yeah, exactly.
As you become new with something, you like the shiny items up on the top shelf.
Exactly.
And so a lot of people just gravitate right to the rarest, most extreme beers as far as flavor profiles and whatnot. Whereas there are beers that I think should be appreciated more that are table beers, session beers, that are just amazingly well crafted, but they're never gonna, it's just a fact, they're never gonna hold this celebrity status to be able to do that.
If I'm going to do a session beer, I like to go to Levitation.
Okay.
Levitation's a great session beer.
4.4% alcohol, so.
And if I'm in the mood for a sour, but I want to drink a sessionable sour, I go to like the Hottenroth from the Berliner Weiss from the brewery.
3.2%.
Right, and so it's
Right.
like, it's almost like you're not even really drinking beer, but you are, and it's awesome.
Well, that's what the amazing thing is now. Well-crafted beers can be low in alcohol and still taste amazing.
Have a huge flavor profile.
And just satisfy that palate.
Right.
Speaking of satisfying palate, well,
So
there is a
normally,
two-glass limit of Pliny the Younger, but luckily you're with me, and this is your only first glass, so
Right,
so we won't be able to have a second glass too.
Well, and normally at this point we'd cut to our master pairing segment with Dr. Bill, but since he's here
Dr.
right
Bill.
now, we'll just do it live.
We'll do it live.
Today I paired this beer, which is a very big beer. It's a imperial, or what I call a triple IPA, and Vinny considers it a triple IPA also.
Oh, yeah.
Even though there's not a true classification for that.
Right.
Double and imperial IPAs are considered one group by the governing bodies that, like the BJCP, things like that. And but I think there really should be a category where you go from the 7 to 9% IPAs, and then when you get above that, into those big boys like Hopsicle, Maharaja, White Knuckle. Well, we haven't got
I think the big bars will be its own classification.
Yeah, they're talking about a 41% beer recently brewed by Brewdog that's classified as an IPA. But this beer is 11%.
Right.
It drinks like an 8% beer, which is part of its celebrity status. This beer is that's why, to me personally, besides a great flavor profile and the fact that the hop father, Vinny Salurzo, brewed it, he brews a beer that's so well crafted that it tastes like, it doesn't taste any stronger than Pliny the Elder.
Right.
You're right.
And that's what's amazing. You don't get all this
This
fuel
is
alcohol.
as big
and
as it
heat.
is. This is such a drinkable beer.
Yeah.
It's so easy to drink, which is dangerous.
Well,
but
it's
it's so
but,
good.
Being craft beer aficionados, you need to be responsible.
Right.
So one of the things I decided to pair this with, we do Taco Tuesdays on Tuesdays, and we do
Which we're actually filming on a Tuesday this week. So.
Yes. And so we do specialty ones from like 4 to 6 or 4 to later in the evening. And so we're doing a shrimp taco with a cojita cheese, and it's got kind of a tomato cabbage slaw and chipotle creme and some jalapenos. And so I paired
sounds
this
delicious by
with-
itself,
It is. And I paired this with the Pliny the Younger because it really holds up well.
Really.
Yes.
This looks freaking delicious. I got a little bit of the chipotle. Is that what it is? Chipotle sauce? Oh,
Ooh, and I love shrimp.
it is on right now.
Yummy.
That is good.
So it's got great spice. It's not a lot of heat, but it's there. It's really good. Complex flavor. The wild Mexican shrimp really shine through. And
yeah.
the Pliny the Younger just complemented.
Oh my
Oh yeah,
God.
it totally stands up to the Pliny.
Stands up, but yet the floral notes of the Pliny are there, and they play into that a little bit more even. And it's just a really enjoyable pairing.
This is one of the reasons I love coming here, is because you can take something as basic and simple as a shrimp taco, and the chefs and the cooks here just turn it into something magical.
This taco is
It's so
one of the best-
incredible.
This is really
So I got to totally give like some props to the cooking staff and the chefs, and Alex in particular. Like, he just such an amazing job.
Alex, our executive chef, does a great job, and we're doing this whole master pairing series, and that's why it's so much fun for me to do it, because he's so creative and his staff is so creative. One of the really neat things about the craft beer industry is when I first started going to craft beer pubs in the 80s, early 80s, you had either an English style pub. Yes, I'll take my other taco now.
I was looking at that, I'm like, should I hand it to him or just wait for him to ask?
Anyways, you had English style pub food, or you had, your onion rings, your French fry, your burger, things like that, your pizza, your wings, things like that, which is all great, especially if it's well done. But nowadays, the craft beer industry and all the breweries and the pubs, they are producing world-class cuisine. And you can find that all over.
Absolutely.
Even if they're doing like a great beer bar that wants to just do pub food, they're now doing these amazing garlic fries, or
Yeah.
they're doing, Kobe burgers.
I actually saw
and things
like
like
a
that.
documentary on, I think it was Discovery actually, in Ireland, where their whole culture is basically based around pubs. You know, it's the pub culture. That's where they go and meet
Right.
and hang out. And for the longest time, you got a sandwich that you could either get plain or grilled, and that's about it.
Right.
And they're taking on the same characteristics as a place like Stone, where you get gourmet food. They're trying to make really good food to go with their beers.
We are starting a new segment this week
yeah.
called Craft Beer Advocate. This segment is going
Would
to
you grab
be
us 4 more Pliny
it's
the
a
Younger,
segment about your craft beer experience, whether that's advocating for craft beer with your friends, doing tastings, doing or just your epiphany, how you
Anything.
got into craft beer,
Yeah.
whatever it is that kind of makes craft beer shine. And this segment is brought to you by Beer Wars, the movie, which if you haven't seen Beer Wars, you need to go out and see it. It's an impressive movie. It's an impressive documentary about the David and Goliath struggle of small business versus big business. And in this case, it's set in the craft beer versus big beer industry. And it's available on iTunes, Netflix. It's on demand on your cable.
You
Just
can buy
check
the
it out.
DVD at beerwarsmovie.com.
And if you have your story to tell us, send it in. Each week we're going to pick a winner. The winner gets a free Beer Wars DVD signed by the creator, Anat Baron. It's totally an awesome prize. So this week's Craft Beer Advocate is Ryan from Ohio. He writes in, "My beer advocacy story is about a tasting that will not occur until 2019. Being in Ohio, we were just exposed to the brewery from Orange County, California. Their beers hit our stores in October, and I immediately knew we were getting a winner. Already being a year into the 12 Days of Christmas series of beers from the brewery, I was not able to obtain the 2008 release of Partridge in a Pear Tree. For some reason, this became my holy grail of beers. I truly wanted to find it. Having searched high and low for this beer, I realized that I have to turn to the online beer community. After some struggling, I was able to find someone who could get me this beer. It now sits in my cellar along with the 2009 release of Two Turtle Doves. We plan to hold a massive tasting in the year 2019, not just for me and my friends, but for our local folks as well who were likely unable to obtain a bottle of this beer. Now, for the next 10 years, no matter what's going on or where we are, we'll have this incredible tasting to look forward to." Great letter, Ryan, and thanks for writing in. Tell us your craft beer advocacy story by emailing advocate@newbrewthursday.com or post a video of yourself online telling us your story, and we'll include it into the show.
Boom.
Well, Bill, thank
Thank
you very
you.
much for bringing us back down to
Again.
Stone.
Wow.
We're thrilled. We're thrilled
I
to be
expect
here
I'll see
again.
you guys again.
Oh yeah, I think we'll be here semi-often. But Pliny the Younger, if you hear about a tapping again in the future, make an effort. It's worth it. Even
Totally.
at this point,
You may just
It's a
see a
great
tweet
beer.
about it.
you might see a tweet about it. Check Twitter, because that's the funny thing is Twitter is mostly where you find out about where the tappings are
And
happening.
if you're a Twitter hater, don't believe the hype. It's like you got to
It's
get
not-
involved
that's
in
not
the
that
right
bad.
circles.
Follow
and
the right
it's
people,
really
like New Brew
useful.
Thursday and Bistro
Yeah.
Beer. Follow those people. That's who you need to follow, and you'll get all the information you need. But as always, stay safe and drink beer.
beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.